it's Drybear. We've reached the last class of the 6 available for Path of Exile 2, so today we're going to be talking about the Sorceress for early access. Also keep in mind that there will be free items and cosmetics to pick up through the Twitch drop campaign for the launch of PoE2 this Friday. So you can come over to my Twitch or anyone that's streaming that has the drops turned on. You just have to watch for a little while, you'll get these cool cosmetics, and also if you want to, you can gift 2 subscriptions to that channel. I will have this as an option as well, which helps support that channel and keep it live, but also grants you the Chimera pet that you can have walking around with you in game, which is super cool. All these different elements there. Twitch.tv/Drybear for the release. And what I love about PoE2 is the fact that they split out the Sorceress into kind of its own class. This has been mixed in a lot of different ways in other classes or in Witch, but in this case, just having a traditional spellcaster, a mage, a wizard, a sorcerer, a sorceress, that kind of thing, I think is a big boon for PoE2. And what's great about the Sorceress in general, the theme for the character is mixing together lots of different elemental effects. There are 25 different elemental skills inside of the early access, and there's lots of different ways that you can merge, mix and match, and combo them into different effects, right? Sending lightning through fire, as you saw on screen, combining ice, lightning to create some really cool effects, causing fire to blow up ice and shatter it. All of these things are available in combination with these skills and the support gems that you run for Sorceress. So if you like that traditional magic user playstyle, there's so many different things that you can do in the game, along with the Ascendancies for Sorceress that makes it an easy choice. I'll definitely be making a Sorceress and playing around with the spellcasting abilities. Now keep in mind, there are only a couple differences between the starting classes that you have to be aware of. You can get access to any skill ability in the game as long as you have the stats required to activate them, so you're not limited based on that. However, where you start in the massive passive skill tree is going to be determined by your starting class, and it may even alter some of the nodes on that tree as well. Additionally, you will only have a subset of Ascendancies to choose from for that class, and only available to that class. These are your subclasses. So for the Sorceress, you'll have 2 available for early access, with a 3rd launching later on as the early access continues. Another great thing about the Sorceress is they are the master of mixing elements and controlling elements, and they certainly by no means are the only one that can command elements across the board. There are plenty of like ice and fire effects from Mercenary, things from Monk, things from Warrior, things from Ranger with ice and lightning, and so you can pull in those effects and abilities from those other classes to amplify your spellcasting style. And with the new weapon swap mechanic, you're able to have different casting setups on each weapon and dynamically swap between them whenever you want to have your own kind of style come out based on what you see. And it's also a way to kind of deal with the resistances of targets. Maybe you have a primary effect of one element and you want to mix in other elements, or maybe you have a build that uses all elements in the game and combines them all together to create this crazy elemental wizard. For Sorceress, your 2 choices for Ascendancy classes are going to start with the Stormweaver. And what's great about the Stormweaver is it gives you complete control over lightning. What's great about these, one thing to keep in mind is there are some options in here that will allow you to apply shock status effect regardless of whatever damage type you deal, which means you can always apply shock. Shock is an ailment that does increase the damage the target takes and can spread other lightning effects. So regardless of however many elements you bring into the mix, you'll have the ability to apply shock to targets and have bouncing effects and shocks everywhere. So if you want to be the lightning lord, spreading lightning everywhere, bouncing between targets, causing shock, triggering explosions, and lightning arcing from every which way, then Sorceress Stormweaver is a great choice. And I think this is kind of a staple in ARPGs as well, the ability to control lightning, because it doesn't have as much, the kind of travel time you would expect from other spells. Now, it doesn't mean you can't use other elements. It just means that you'll have a strong basis for lightning. And you can even see with the Elemental Storm, creates a stationary fire, cold, or lightning storm at the target location based on the highest elemental damage type. So you can even do a pure fire build with Stormweaver, convert fire into shock, which increases your damage of your fire, and then do different mixes of the elements as well, and bring in other skills from other classes if you so choose, which is really cool. It just creates this really kind of elemental damage focused build on doing as much elemental damage as possible, and gives you options for being able to apply the ailments that go along with those elements. Your second option for the start of early access is going to be the Chronomancer Ascendancy, and this one is just such a wild card. It's way out there. This is a time mage, your bronze dragonflight, your time controller, your Doctor Who, whatever you want to call it. They have the ability to control time, and this has crazy implications for their general playstyle. You will still have access to the full kit of the sorceress skills, and of course the other skills for their classes if you meet the stat requirements, but you also have things like being able to reset your HP and mana back to what it was a couple seconds ago, so you can actually take some damage and then reset it back and forth. You can freeze time as well, cause enemies to freeze in place and deal with it that way, which also has huge implications for party play. You can create after images and even absorb damage in some cases, which is really cool. You can increase your cast speed, so it's more of like an arcane focus, more of a time controlling focus, but it has a huge implication on how you play the other effects in the sorceress skill kit. And I can't wait to see what people do with Chronomancer. It's one of the few ascendancies that come with the early access launch that I think it has so much room for creativity and expression in builds that I'm excited to see what everyone comes up with when using the Chronomancer. And I, for one, am glad that they kind of removed the obscurity of spell casting that they had in Path of Exile 1, because a lot of cases you would just either run Witch or some combination of like occultist or various different ways to do spell casting. There wasn't their true, wizard sorcerer kind of aesthetic that felt like it played into the ascendancies and everything else. You could still create those kind of play styles, but I'm glad they decided to commit to it and go all the way. And I'm just so excited to see, if you build up specific combinations, not only by yourself, but also with party members and friends, what can you accomplish by using the different elements together? And realistically, not only is there a lot of combinations in skills across the board in a single character, but being able to mix the elements in new ways is really exciting too, especially for the sorceress has so many different ways to apply that. Even just like having the Stormweaver Ascendancy, where regardless of the element damage you deal, you can still apply shock. That opens the door for so many interesting combinations and uniques that might play off of that as well. And obviously you have all your support gems that will make a big difference, being able to cast certain things on trigger, like the special trigger effects that if you do this, then cast this spell. Being able to freeze enemies, shred armor, apply debuffs and ailments, and trigger elemental storms, plus all the different projectiles you can spam and spread all over the place, like a ball lightning, all of this. There's gonna be so many great ways to play Sorceress, and I think if you like spell casting in general, it's a great place to start with the Sorceress in general, going into the launch of early access. But let me know what you think about the Sorceress down below. If you found value in today's video, leave a like down below, leave a comment for the algorithm to help this video get seen by more people, and don't forget to check out my other channels for other content and other stuff and other things.